Bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared, and this is a first look at a new prototype, and I have to say it's pretty awesome. We got a Wharnetac blade. Actually, you know what? We're going to just look at the spec sheet really fast. So here is the spec sheet. Let me back this out a little bit. So it's the Wharnetac, and that's Custom EDC Knives Instagram. I'll link everything down in the description so you can keep up with it. We have another, we don't need to read that one. So, like I said, I will link everything down in the description. So this is a super deep, thin, hollow ground blade. It is nice and thin, very thin behind the edge, beautiful for utility cuts, and then the handle and ergonomics. Holy cow, is this comfortable. This is super, super comfortable in the hand. Now, it is a reverse flicking knife. We have a titanium milled pocket clip. I have not used it yet, but standoffs. Detent is really good. Not fall shutty. It does, it drops. It's smooth. This is only the first prototype, so I'm not sure if any changes will be made. I do have a couple things already that I'm going to suggest in my review, but I think it's pretty awesome. Even just how it is, it's still really awesome, but I think I have a couple suggestions or whatever, whether they take them or not. But we have titanium hardware, a titanium frame lock, steel lock bar insert. We have an over travel stop in there so it doesn't unspring the lock. We have ceramic caged bearings and a ceramic detent. The detent is great. Solid detent, great access to the hole. I can easily get to it. And left-handed, even with my finger on the lock bar, I can still deploy it. It is a little stiffer when I do that, but I can easily still do it. So this is going to work out great for left-handed users as well, but the clip is not reversible. Now, the scales are flat. However, it has this chamfered edge all the way around it, which does give it the feeling of being contoured. I think it's super comfortable because these areas are flat. It also offers a grip where you can feel that it's not going to twist out of your hand. You're not going to get any of this or anything like that pushing through a cut. It's going to firmly stay in place. Now, the choil is not big. It is only a sharpening choil, not a finger choil, but you can get up close. I do like how they did the plunge grind. The plunge grind is way away from the edge. You have tons of life to sharpen off this edge. However, I do have some recommendations I think that would improve that. But the blade geometry is super thin. This thing's probably 15 thousandths behind the edge, I'm guessing. Didn't it say? I think it says, actually. Yes, 16 thousandths behind the edge. Got him. Yeah, so 16 thousandths behind the edge, nice and thin. And this grip like this, because if you look how it tapers down, this grip like this, holy cow, man. You could get some maximum leverage into any type of utility cut. The pinch grips, because since it does taper like that, your hand tapers like that too. So it'll be good for reverse cutting, push cutting. Just about every cut is going to be very comfortable with this. Especially with this Wharnetac blade with, opening things up, doing EDC stuff, right? Very well done. I do think the hardware looks good too. We have T8 hardware all the way around, even the steel lock bar insert. That's awesome. Not that you need to take that out, but, if you ever want to anodize this or something like that, you never know, right? You can, or let me talk about the access to the lock bar. So the access to the lock bar, it's not cut out here. However, they did chamfer it on the insides really good where it's pretty easy to get to. The one thing I'm having a little bit of struggle with is, let me grab another knife. So if I pull out my Hinder XM18 3.5 inch skinny with the sheepshead blade, you'll notice when I disengage this, the blade is going to fall. All right, and I move out of the way, and it continues to drop. So I just unlock it, the blade falls. I don't have to shake, don't have to move. This one, I move the lock bar out of the way, nothing. I have to encourage it to go. Maybe it's just breaking in, but it's not the lock bar pressure. So a lot of people would think, well, it's the lock bar pressure, but it's not. So with the lock bar pressure off, it's smooth, but I can tell the pivot is a little tighter than maybe we would want. Now, that could be just this being over-tightened. Like I said, this is just a prototype, so, you know, I'll figure it out, take it apart and see what's going on. But you have to kind of give it a little tap. Now, if you hold up high on the lock bar, you wind up blocking it. So you do want to hold a little lower, which is still, it's fine. You know, that's not a negative thing. It's just, you know, you just have to be cognitive of that you have this area right here that needs to drop down past your thumb. And a lot of knives are like that. But it has a great look to it. Great size, too. I do like the size of it. Jimping, my fingers are pretty much past it. I guess I could hold it back here and then it works. But when I go up tight, pretty much past it. But the satin finish looks really good. We have like a bead blasted titanium frame lock. It does have a futuristic kind of sports look. I mean, like sports car look. Very, very aerodynamic, you know. But I think it looks cool. And, you know, I haven't used it yet, but I can tell this thing's going to work great. Detent is super solid. Oh, the insides. The insides are all milled out. It has got a lot of weight relieving taken out, and it is very, very light. So, you know, even though it has all that weight relieving, the handle is still, or the balance point is still right there, which it still has a great balance in the hand. It's not blade heavy, especially with all this the hollow grind. It makes it have a lot of weight relieving from the blade because it gets so thin behind the edge, which I love. So, you know, it's very nice in the hand where you don't have to worry about it doing this number, you know, where it just falls forward. You know, it feels really good in the hand. I kind of like that. And I see that he's saying he's looking at possibly contouring the pocket clip for more comfort, making the choil smaller. That's a good thing. To give more cutting edge, have a larger detent put in for more reliable deployment and better action. So, if everybody wanted the contoured handle, I can have that done, but I don't care about that. I'll be honest. That's not something I care about right now. I would leave it flat. I think this is perfect. No contouring because you have the edges chamfered already. But I would definitely make the choil smaller. You could do the same exact kind of choil, just bring this edge back to here. That would make it to where when your hand is like this, you're covering it up and it stops things from being able to catch in there. Right now, it's a little too big. What was the next thing? The next thing was, the bigger detent. I think the detent's great. This is just my opinion, but what I do think is something is tight in the pivot because it's not dropping. See that? I can feel that it's like when you take the lock bar off of a knife, it should be like free. Let me get a different one. It's kind of like a button lock. Just think about a button lock, right? When you take the thing off the button lock, it's free swinging. Well, a frame lock should be the same way with bearings. When you disengage it, it should be free swinging. So it's not so much the lock bar pressure that's slowing it down or the detent. I think it's more the pivot. So, but this is a prototype. So I'm going to disagree about getting a bigger detent ball at the time being. But, you know, hey, I don't know. Maybe that is something that they acknowledged that I'm not at the moment. I've only had it for a little bit. But the detent feels solid. I like the detent. I think it's just a little stiff after the detent. Not stiff, but it feels like it's a little tight. But, you know, we'll see how it goes. And in the full review, I will be able to explain much more, especially after I take it apart, clean it, maintenance it, and all the good stuff. I love you guys. Definitely go follow those links below. Peace.